everyone, and welcome to the Sacred Rainbow Warrior. Today, I would like to talk about, again, the theme of everything I talk about is healing between the masculine and the feminine. And I go into more detail in a completely different way on my joint channel with my partner, Prophecy Walkers. But today, I talk on my channel about what I'm passionate about and what I'm healing, what I'm going through. And today, I'm talking a bit more focus on men and how they react to the energy of women. Now, I want to start with blood and sexual energy. Um, Most of the arguments, fights, separation always focus around sex, especially for men. And my partner and I have been talking about this phrase that gets thrown around on the internet, especially by men, and you see it in memes a lot, where a man is being nice to a woman that he finds attractive, and she puts him in the friend zone. And the funny thing is that most people don't know how to find their twin flames because they're playing the distorted old baby game of the dating game. And the truth is, true love comes through friendship. So this whole thing about the friend zone is actually steering people away from true divine union, true love. And it's how I met my partner. Um, I say this to anyone that I work with. I work with a lot of women, and I'm going to talk into why men aren't turning up at the moment, because it's very like I know quite a few good men. It's hard to find good men, but the ones that I do know that they're always too busy. And this is a collective energy to do with men on the shame that is attached to what I'm going to discuss about women. Now, I just need to get back onto the thread of what I was talking about. So, blood and sexual energy, yeah. So, um, when in when oh friendship, yeah. So I'm focusing on friendship, and I will come to how this energy of blood comes into it. And what I always say to women when I'm working with when they're searching for a twin flame, and it can sound, quite off-putting to some people who aren't tuned into the energy of true love, is that your twin flame may feel like a friend or a brother or a sister, because that's what twin flames are. They're they're born under the same star, and it's to do with the splitting of the soul at the core level. And when I mean splitting, I mean the original sin, the original wound of separation from the origin, where God decided to know itself and split into feminine and masculine, and that is unconsciously, despite whether you believe it as a good or bad thing, meaning, there is no good or bad, it it was a betrayal of the soul's heart because of the pain of separation. And this is what, among loads of other things, is what causes this attraction, but also this separation between man and woman because of this wound and everything that attaches to it along the way. And this is really most obvious, and this is where I get to blood, when a woman is in her menstrual cycle. And I've had to heal and practice this with my partner, is that just like with the seasons, every month a woman goes through spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And the thing is, just like with trees, in autumn they start to drop their leaves because they withdraw their energy, right? But in spring and summer they're bright and they're everywhere, and then in winter they look dead and there's no leaves, right? And this is what a woman goes through every month, because this is her way of releasing attachment and healing. The masculine does it a different way. And what this does, and this can be really emphasized in relationships in a very negative way when it actually comes to autumn. I noticed that at the end of August and between September, I always try to warn my close friends, especially the men, hold tight. This is separation energy. And even of alleged conscious couples, a lot of people separate during August, September time because this is the illusion of separation. But all it is the letting go energy. But what I find every month with my partner, there's this moment where she goes from summer into autumn like that, and you feel it. And it creates this ego response if healing is needed. And when I say healing is needed, is it's like when you dislike something in someone, that's because they're mirroring to you what something you dislike in yourself. So if you have say for example, this is what I had to go through, healing the abandonment wound, which I did recently, which is the unhealable wound. And I did that through enormous devotion, and I couldn't have done it without my partner because you can only do it in divine union. You can only do it in divine union. And the what happened when she went from summer into autumn, she withdrew her energy, her sexual energy. And so when there's a deep abandonment wound, and that'd be different for men. Like my family went through quite a belligerent divorce, and my mum just came in the bathroom one day and she said, "I have to leave," and she left. That was, it was like having my heart ripped out. And so for me, healing that wound was just so challenging, so challenging. And every month when Hazel went into her autumn time, I would freak out and think, "Oh, she doesn't like me anymore. I'm not worthy." Blah 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 blah. All these reasons. And then she would have her own rejection feelings from her father wound of being controlled or pushed, which I would then be mirroring back to her. So it was this, identifying and being conscious of these ego wounds that we had to heal. But most men and women aren't aware of this, and we had to find this out, through our own Mulder and Scully detective work. And it causes a lot of problems in relationship because the man wants, for lack of a better term, men like to connect with women through sexual touch a lot, and men like to do it, women, sorry, like to be through feeling and heart connection. But that's also both for the reverse as well. That's also true for men, and it's also true for women, depending on if the wound's in the masculine or the feminine. And so um, this is really valuable integration, and I provide a lot of coaching on this. I do courses on this. I've nearly finished my book on integration, which goes really deep into this. And it's really helpful to understand that there's no such thing as separation, and that any relationship doesn't have to end. But coming onto the topic of men, where are the men, right? Why aren't the men turning up? And it's to do with this addiction to this narcissistic spiral of there's this spiral of I forget the correct term or words, but it's being really nice, then putting them down, and then rejecting them, and then hoovering, right? And I'm sorry I haven't I know this inside out, but I just when I come on here and I'm just, talking, I forget the words. But um this cycle of narcissism is I need to feed, then reject, feed, then reject, feed, then reject. And this is a cycle of narcissism. And you can see this in loads of toxic relationships where it looks like it's the man that's the perpetrator, but both are playing the game, both are playing the game, both playing out their wounds of the father and the wounds of the mother and vice versa. And the the way to overcome this is and I'm we're Hazel and I are actively working on how to bring this to the public, and we've just started our joint podcast called Walk the Squawk, which is on prophecy walkers, and we've just recorded 3 episodes, and we're releasing episode 1 next week, and we go into detail to talk about how we move through this. And a lot of how we move through it is holding space for each other without judgment, which takes a lot of training and a lot of coaching and guiding. And like I said, I offer that guidance, coaching guidance. I call it, what do I call it? Uh, Ascension mastery, Ascension mastery, because that's what this all leads to. It leads to ascension. And I've lost count of how many walk-ins I've had because I've just quantum leaped through ascension by doing this work with Hazel. And it requires a lot of confession of ego. And when you confess the ego, it dies. This is how I lead into ego death. Ego death is the most powerful and quickest way of ascension into love. And it's the quickest way of coming together with your partner. Now, back to friendship. Um, we first met as friends through a really synchronized, it's extremely synchronized, all these signs from the universe and stuff. I met someone in the middle of Peru in the jungle and stayed with them for Christmas, and Hazel was staying on their land and blah, 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 blah. And it went on and on and on. And it still does. And it still does, goes on today. So many synchronicities between our past life and our current life and our Akashic life and our soul life and so on. And what it all comes down to is your devotion to each other. And that devotion for twin flames come from sharing a purpose. And if you don't share a purpose, that can be quite difficult. And if you don't share a purpose, there can be infatuation involved, a lot of codependency and clinginess. Codependency comes from a deep wound of feeling alone and is linked to, and this is why women find themselves locked in abusive relationships, is linked to Stockholm syndrome. And Stockholm syndrome is linked to this crone energy, which shows itself in the autumn, winter part of the menstrual cycle. And I can link, the crone energy to Hansel and Gretel, and this is the dark side of the feminine, where she brings the children to her house, bribes them with sweets, and then she cooks them, boils them, and then eats them. And this is a metaphor for how the feminine who cannot receive love instead feeds on death and the energy of innocence, which is the opposite of ascension. That's heading towards death and old age and aging and just, being a bitter woman, let's say. And with the masculine, it heads towards more of the perversion energy, like porn and just wrecking the relationship, being home wrecker. And so if you don't know how to deal with these divine energies that are unable to show themselves in your relationship due to beliefs and judgments that you have about self, and especially, these really sensitive judgments about sexuality, which I find really delicate to dance through, is that you really can come into a deep friendship. When I first met Hazel, like I said, we were just friends. And I turned up and I didn't, hand on my heart, I wasn't physically attracted to her. And that was due to my conditioning, my programming from the toxic patriarchal matrix. This is what a woman should look like. And it took me, I went through a lot of denial that I didn't love her. And I found it really difficult because every time she got close to me, I thought she was going to jump on me, it was my it was my mirrored judgment of me wanting to jump on her, but I didn't feel that sexually. I felt it in my heart, and this is why men are so detached from their hearts, because this is more of this sexual focus, and that's not the fault of the masculine. It's not, oh yeah, that's all men think about. That's not true. It's not true at all. It's just how men first connect. It's how men first connect, and it's to do with tactability through touch, right? And for the feminine, it's more feeling. It's about reputation, feeling the masculine. And with the I speak about this in other videos about the wound of the feminine is she destroyed her image and the masculine destroyed his reputation. And so when a man and woman get together, they look for the man looks for a good looking woman, and the woman looks for a man who has a good heart. And when when you make that sacrifice, where you sacrifice your ego and go, okay, we're friends, and then you realize you have feelings for this person. I had to go through a really difficult process of saying, yeah, okay, Hazel, actually, I'm really sorry. I've been lying to you for 11 months. I love you. And like it brought this life to her. She went through this death process, and where it looked like she was actually going to give up and die. And when I told her that I loved her, all this blood just rushed to her face, and she looked younger and brighter and happier and everything. And when we realized, it took us a couple of years of doing, working together when we were in love, to realize that our love, our twin flame love, was birthed through friendship. We got to know each other first. And I always said this before when I left my previous relationship, that when I met someone else, I would want to become friends first so I could know them before entering into a relationship. And that's what's so powerful about it, because when you're friends, you don't make judgments against each other. But for some reason, when we're in a relationship, we do make judgments against each other. And that's because there comes a stage in a relationship where you get so close that the wounds start to show themselves. And it's very karmic, it's very akashic. And each wound has to be addressed, individually. And it's always mirrored in each other. There'll always be a relationship wound where you're each playing out each other's wounds. And it goes on and on and on. And so you have to enjoy the journey of it, and you have to treat each other like friends. And the most the most beautiful part of being in sacred partnership with a woman, I'll speak for myself, is being able to learn from her, from the feminine, how to feel again, how to feel my heart again. And it's so powerful. I've tried to explain it to men, and you can't get it until you put your heart on the heart of a woman, and you realize that the universe is within her, and it's within you, and you can't see the truth until that happens. And so my process of working with men is all about learning how to reclaim your senses, coming back to your senses, coming back to the feminine, and coming back to your heart. And that's the trick. How do you open your heart when it's slammed shut? And it's taken me so long to learn how to do that. And it's valuable. It's extremely valuable to understand how to open the heart of the masculine. And the best and only way of doing that, sorry, it's not the only way. The best way of doing that, the best way of doing that, or one of the best ways, there's so many ways, is holding space for each other and confessing the things that you fear, because ego is fear, and anything that's not love is fear. And it all comes down to choices. Are you choosing fear, or are you choosing love? And I remember I made this wish before I met Hazel, that I wanted to spend New Year's Eve. It was my birthday back in whenever it was, 2020, yeah. And I said to the universe, I go, oh, I'd love to spend New Year's Eve with someone just like me. And that's exactly what happened. I spent it with Hazel, and it was beautiful. And when we when we realize how love can just obliterate everything we thought we believed, all the lies of society that were programmed us. It opens us up to this the innate. If you Google YouTube, cry on innate, and watch videos on innate, right? It's about embodying the soul. Imagine, that's like being God on earth, embodying the soul, walking on earth in your soul, right? And the reason we don't live like that now is because of all the selling of pieces of the soul. And I talk about this in previous videos, this addiction to devil worship and selling the soul. And most people don't even know they're doing it. But when you, for example, eat a chocolate bar, there's an addiction there somewhere, and you're giving a piece of your soul away. instead of feeling the sweetness inside you, the sweetness for life, you're getting it outside of you. You know, it's like going to church when you're looking for God outside of you. That's a sin. You know, there's religious sin and there's true sin, and true sin is betrayal. It's betrayal of your heart. So when you're looking for yourself outside of yourself, that hurts the heart on a really deeply conscious level. And so when we confess, you know, all these terms have been hijacked and taken, sin and confession. You know, we know who hijacked that. And when we come into confession without fear in front of each other, the sacrifices that we make are like dropping love bombs inside the heart, and they create so much light, so much healing that you become stronger, you become more intelligent. Like I've unlocked so much of the latent intelligence, and it's not in the brain, it's not in the mind, it's in the heart. And the more I unlock, the the more I understand how magnificent we all are, all of us. And it's available to all of us. But there is a hidden force that is making us fight each other, making us fight against our ascension. And I call that the ego. And I can tell you with great confidence, I know all of the ways to destroy and kill the ego. And every time we do that, new life comes in. And for the masculine, that's very needed because, like I say, a woman has a menstrual cycle that helps her do this automatically. But if the masculine interferes with that process, she can't let go, and that causes big problems in a relationship. So I come up with a method for myself where I put a reminder. I go, Hazel, like, when are you going into autumn weeks? I know. And I will find that I have to come into my own energy, because if there's a mixing of energies, um, you will be more magnetically attracted to the feminine, which means crashing, which means war or death. I'm talking spiritually here. And if because the feminine is magnetic and the masculine has a charge, you know, like a balloon where you rub it on your hair and it sticks to stuff, you know. And so when a woman is magnetically charged and that energy is still there, she will pull the masculine, and it will create more uh, conflict if there's wounding there. And so the best way is for the man to come into his own energy and find, you know, go into his cave, for example, like go out with his friends, go fishing, you know, whatever you want to do. And yeah, I wanted to share that. I think that's really absolute gold. Um, I know most people don't know that, and I think for if a woman hears that, for a woman to hear that, I think that's it's like wow, yeah, that's true. And men are, I speak from my own experience. I don't know any men that have spoken about this, and it was very difficult for me to become aware of it. Very difficult. It took years to understand the process, and I'm still learning because she's very magnetic. She's very magnetic, you know, and just like Gaia, the planet, you know, and they each have their magnetic field, and they pull in asteroids and comets, and it's just it's how the feminine body works. It's how the Merkaba works, the Taurus field around feminine energy. And like I said, the masculine energy is different. We work more like in a straight beam of light, where the woman works more in the spiral. And when you put those together, you get the caduceus, the snakes going around the sword. And you see this on my website. I drew my own, channeled my own art for the art of integration and how that works. So tune in for some big developments in everything that I'm bringing to you. So I hope that was very helpful. Look out for some really incredible videos in these next 7 days or so, because we're leading up to a really big eclipse. And I had a huge awakening on the 28th of February, and I did make a video for you guys. So tune in, get yourself spiritually ready for these incredible energies. These are quantum leap times. We are in the age of prophecy. This is it. This is it. Get your prophecy, get your prophecy ascension in now, because what's coming very soon is going to be difficult. It's going to be a very difficult time between this separation of old Earth and new Earth is going to create a divide, and it's going to create a lot of issues. And I'll probably do a really big video on that at some point. But I need to channel the correct, divine, accurate information to give to you so that I can give you the best possible guidance on that. And but what is available is magnificent. All your dreams, the dreams you didn't even know you had, not the dreams that they tell you to buy into, but these dreams that you're not even aware of, your soul dreams, your divine purpose. I can help you unlock that. My partner and I, when we realized what our divine purpose was, we were blown away. I was like, God, wow, yeah, that makes sense. I absolutely would really love to do that. But we never had the chance to because of how we're programmed or the abuse that we receive. And we look up to people who are living their dreams. And it's we can all make our dreams come true. And this is what's coming. This is what's available for this ascension process. And I offer coaching on ascension mastery. So welcome and thank you for listening. Bye bye.